morning, children. Today we are going to see the explanation part of the second chapter of bio, that is kingdom classification. Now, kingdom classification tells us the classification of the various organisms, that are the plants as well as the animals. What was the need of doing this classification and how the various organisms are classified into the various groups, into the different groups, is what we are going to learn in this particular chapter. So let's get started. Taxonomy. Now the first term that is coming up is taxonomy. It is the functional branch of biology that deals with the identification, nomenclature. Identification means to identify, to spot them out. Nomenclature means to give them a special name. And classification of all the living organisms into the various groups is known as taxonomy. Carolus Linnaeus is known as the father of taxonomy. He was the first person who started doing this, so he is given a name as the father of taxonomy. You need to learn this name, children, Carolus Linnaeus. Next is classification. The systematic grouping of organisms into categories on the basis of their similar or dissimilar characteristics and the structural relationship is called classification. That means, how are we going to classify the organisms? What are we going to classify them into groups as? What will be the basis of classifying them? That will be their similar characters or their dissimilar characteristics. And how are they structurally related to each other? That means their structure means how is the body made up of. So structurally, how are they made up of? Depending on that relationship, they are put into various groups, and this process is known as classification. Coming to the importance, it is essential to understand the interrelationship among the different groups of organisms. How are they related with each other? Enables the study of wide variety of organisms easily. Now, if you look at it, children, on a planet, there are millions of plants and animals that are existing. So in order to classify them, in order to make the study simpler, it is easy that we put them into various groups. It helps us in identifying a correct desirable plant to be crossed to another desirable plant so as to improve the quality of a certain plant. Now this, the breeders, actually the farmers who are there who do the plant breeding and all, for them it is very useful, children, because then they are able to cross, that is artificially cross the plants that have a better quality over the plants that have a poor quality. It improves the idea of common ancestry to all the living organisms. It gives an ancestry. We come to know how the plants were or the animals were in the back, say thousands of years back, and what are the changes that have taken place in the body today. It helps us in identifying which characteristic is to be used as the basis for making broadest division. The modes of classification. Different criteria have been used by different taxonomists. Taxonomists are the people who study about these plants and all, and they help in putting them into various groups. From time to time to classify living organisms in different ways, but the following two systems of classification are commonly used. What are those two systems? Aristotle have divided the living world into two kingdoms, that was Plantae and Animalia. So he was the first person who divided the whole the world of organisms into two. He said plants and animals, because he thought that the things that will not move are plants and the things that will move will be Animalia or animals. Linnaeus, he was another person, also divided the living world into two kingdoms in 1758 as Aristotle did. That was kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. All the plants constitute kingdom Plantae. This kingdom includes bacteria, fungi, algae, fern, mosses, etc. Everything that was green or that was fixed, that was not moving, according to them was a plant. Okay. Kingdom Animalia. All the animals collectively constitutes the kingdom Animalia. This kingdom will include protozoans, sponges, jellyfishes, worms, insects, etc. Now there were certain drawbacks in these two kingdom classification, where these people had only classified all the organisms into plants and animals. Later the taxonomic studies clearly showed that some organism will neither fit in a plant nor will they fit in an animal. In some characteristics, why they were not fitting, children? Because some of the characteristics were like the plants and some of the characteristics were like animals. So it was not very clear as to in which group they could be placed. See, like for example, it was Euglena. Now Euglena was an organism that was causing a confusion, because on one side it had chlorophyll that is found in the green plants because it helps in the process of photosynthesis. So it was capable of doing photosynthesis in the presence of sunlight like the plants, but it was not doing photosynthesis. It was not autotrophic in nature. It was heterotrophic. Now heterotrophic are like we people, we human beings, we are heterotrophic. Why? Because we eat the food that is prepared by the plants, or we take non-vegetarian food. So we are basically not the manufacturer. Five kingdom system of classification. It was Robert H. Whittaker. He was an American taxonomist. In the year 1969, he proposed a new 5-system classification. Now straight away from the 2-system classification, it came to the 5-system classification. The main criteria for his classification was, the main basis on which he started doing his classification was the cell structure, whether it is a prokaryotic, that is a primary developed cell, or a eukaryotic, that is a fully developed cell with all the cell organelles and its membranes. Complexity of the organism, how complex the organism is. It only unicellular, that is made up of one cell, or is made up of many cells, that is multicellular? What is his mode of nutrition? Does the food makes the food and eats the food by autotrophic method? Is it a heterotrophic in nature, or it absorbs the food? So these were the 3 characteristics on the basis of which he started dividing the whole kingdom into 5 groups, and this is what is accepted today. The 5 kingdom classification is what is accepted today. Now there is a line diagram given over here which shows the relationship of the 5 kingdom. Now one at a time we are going to see what it is. Starting with the first one, that is kingdom Monera. So the organism that belongs to this particular group, children, it is unicellular, made up of one cell. Prokaryotic, that means the cell are not very well developed. They lack in the well developed cell organelles. Organisms that belong to this group are bacteria, blue-green algae, and the mycoplasmas. Kingdom Protista, the second kingdom after this. Again, these are also unicellular, but the cells are eukaryotic. That means the cells are not prokaryotic, but they are now eukaryotic. They are well developed. They have the cell organelles, a proper nuclear membrane around the nucleus. Such organisms are there. Example, the protozoans or the algae. Kingdom Fungi, multicellular. Now see, these were the 2 unicellular. Now many cells have come into the action. So this is multicellular. Eukaryotic, well developed, having absorptive mode of nutrition. That means they neither make the food nor they get it from somewhere, but they absorb the food. So all the fungus belong to this particular group. Kingdom Plantae, multicellular. Now they are many celled. They are eukaryotic, well developed cell with the cell organelles, having autotrophic. Most of the plants, they make their own food, so they are autotrophic. Example, plants. Kingdom Animalia, that is the last kingdom, children. They are multicellular, eukaryotic organism having ingestive mode of nutrition. That means they eat the food that is already prepared by the other plants. They cannot make their food. Example, animals. Whittaker did not include virus. Now virus has not been included in the 5 groups. Why? Because again, virus was like a connecting link between the living and the non-living. It was not considered as a plant or an animal, but it was like a living at times and it was non-living at the other time. They were the connecting link between the living and the non-living, children. They contain a package of nucleic acid, that is DNA or RNA, which is covered by a protein covering. Now in a virus, children, the body structure is very simple. It only contains a protein cover, and inside the protein cover it just has the DNA or the RNA, which are the nucleic acid. Now in your books it is given a next blue box, children. Viruses are the connecting link between living and non-living. It is very important, children. This structure is of a bacteriophage that has been given. This is very important, that why viruses are considered like that. They are the obligatory parasite and live outside the host cell as inactive non-living biochemicals. That means as long as they are outside the body of any living organism, they behave as the non-living thing. They just behave as a non-living organism. The body of the virus contains a genetic material which is covered by a proteinaceous covering which is called the capsid enclosing. This outer covering is known as the capsid enclosing. So inside the protein cover, this DNA or RNA is protected, and as they reach inside the body of any living organism, they start becoming very active, they start dividing, and they start making their copies. That is why within no second, if we have some viral infection in a body, it spreads within no time in our body. Why? Because they replicate at a very high speed. The virus infect bacteria, animal cell and plant cell. Now these viruses, they can even infect bacteria, children, which is considered to be the smallest cell. The bacteria cell are the smallest cell that are there. So these viruses can even infect the bacteria. That means they are still smaller than the bacteria, and they can go and infect the bacteria also. So that ways they are very, very harmful. Now coming with the first kingdom, that is kingdom. Starting with kingdom Monera. Kingdom Monera comprises of the microscopic, that means they can only be seen with a microscope, made up of single cell, unicellular, prokaryotic, not well developed cell organism commonly known as bacteria. They are characterized by the following features. Now we are going to see what are the various features of bacteria. Monerans are basically unicellular and the most primitive prokaryotes. That means they are supposed to be the first prokaryotes that were found. And what comes in this, children? The bacteria. See the structure of bacteria that can be seen over here, children. See. So this is the structure of a bacteria. This capsule is actually the capsid. See. And inside, what do they have? They just have the DNA or the RNA at times. So this is how the structure of a bacteria looks. Their body cells do not have a well-defined nucleus, right? The nucleus is not there, which is very well-defined. Membrane-bound cell organelles like the nucleus, the mitochondria, all the endoplasmic reticulum are all absent. Cell wall is present. As you had seen in the diagram right now, children, the cell wall is present. Mode of nutrition can be autotrophic or heterotrophic, because it includes the blue-green algae, the cyanobacteria and the mycoplasmas. Bacteria. The bacteria unicellular microscopic organism. They lack the nuclear membrane, that is why they are called prokaryotes, as well as chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is also not present. They get their food from the living or from the dead organic material, that is why they are heterotrophic. Cell organelles are absent. Now depending upon the shapes, children, what is the shape or like? So they are divided into the various groups. We start with the first one, rod shaped. If they look like a rod, they are known as bacilli, right? E. coli, you can call this word as E. coli, which lives in the intestine of human beings. These may occur as a single rod. They can be single, that is E. coli. They can be lactobacillus. They are Salmonella typhi. Now this Salmonella typhi is a kind of bacteria which causes the typhoid fever. You must have heard of this term, children. You must have heard of the term, children, typhoid fever. So that typhoid fever is caused by Salmonella typhi. That's important. These rods may even form chains, as in Azotobacter, that are the nitrogen fixing bacteria. Now nitrogen fixing bacteria are the bacteria, children, that convert the nitrogen of the air into the nitrates that are absorbed by the plant. Then Bacillus anthracis, which causes fever. The next one is cocci. Now these are spherical shaped, like a circle. They may occur as a single cell, that means a single circle, then it is known as cocci. If the two cocci join together, they form diplococci, that means two. If they form a complete chain, they are streptococci. And if they form a ball-like structure, they come like a ball, then they are known as staphylococci. They cause the bacterial pneumonia. Next is spirilla or spiral-shaped bacteria. It is a spiral-shaped bacteria which is known as spirillum bacteria. We start with the useful action of bacteria. Most bacteria are beneficial. How? Bacteria promote the formation of curd. That means they help in the formation of curd and cheese by the process of fermentation. In this process of fermentation, children, milk sugar, that is lactose, is converted into lactic acid by the action of bacteria. So when the lactose converts into lactic acid, it gives rise to the formation of curd as well as cheese. Bacteria act upon the fruit juices to produce vinegars and wine. The same vinegars that we use it in our homes, those vinegars. Bacteria act as a natural scavenger. Scavengers are the organisms which eat and decompose the organic waste that is present in our environment, like the maybe the leftover food items, maybe the fruit peels, the vegetable peels and all. So they act upon that and they decompose the organic waste rapidly. So they also help in the formation of compost and manures. Then bacteria is also used to make the antibiotics like the streptomycin and vitamin B complex tablets. Some bacteria like rhizobium, which is found in the nodules of the leguminous plants. Now leguminous plants are the kind of plants in which pea comes, bean comes, those family of those plants. And azotobacter, that is a soil bacteria, they absorb the free nitrogen from the air and convert it into the nitrates, which are then used by the plants in order to make the proteins that are required. Some useful bacteria live in the large intestine of human beings also, and they help to produce vitamin C, biotin or vitamin B12. So that means they are even helpful to us. Coming to the harmful action of bacteria, how is bacteria harmful for us? Because bacteria causes a number of diseases. Bacteria causes diseases in plants like the citrus canker, potato scab, leaf spot of cotton. Diseases like cholera, plague, typhoid is also caused by bacteria. Pneumonia, tuberculosis, that is TB, are caused due to the bacteria in the human being. Bacteria are responsible for the spoilage of any kind of a food. The fruits and the vegetables in our homes, children, that rot after few days, that is also because of the presence of bacteria in the air. Bacteria like Salmonella and Staphylococci causes food poisoning also. Now they give rise to even food poisoning. So that means bacteria are useful also and they are harmful also in nature. So with this we complete today's video. In this video I have tried to introduce how the introduction of classification takes place, and I have just taken one kingdom, that is kingdom Monera. I hope I have made myself very clear, and if you have liked my video, please do remember to subscribe, like, share, and please do comment, because your comments tell me how did you like the video. You can also ask me for the various videos that you want me to make in any subjects of science or maths. I'll be happy to make videos on your request also. Till then, take care, bye bye, see you in the next video very soon.